Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am sharing another mini slimline card featuring the Pinkfresh Studio mini slimline essential die set. And I love this die set. And this is going to look a little familiar because yesterday I shared a card that was very similar. This is kind of a spin-off card. So I'm using a lot of the same products, but I'm going to create a different card. I'm going to start out by creating my mini slimline card base. So I have a piece of letter size cardstock here, and I'm cutting it down to 6.5 inches by 6.25 inches. And I am creating my cardstock using some of the Essentials by Ellen linen cardstock. I love to create card bases out of this because that little bit of linen texture really does make for a great finishing touch. So this piece of cardstock measures 6.5 inches by 6.25 inches. And along this 6.5 inch side, I am going to score at 3.25 inches. My finished mini slimline card is going to measure 3.25 inches by 6.25 inches. But I did want to mention that the mini slimline essential die bundle from Pinkfresh Studio will also work with a 3-inch by 6-inch card. Now, once I've scored my card base, and this goes for any size card base, I'm going to make sure that I fold the bump of the score into the inside of the card. So the outside of the card is going to be the side where the score is actually indented. So you'll take the valley of the score line and turn it into a mountain. And I always like to reinforce and kind of make those folds really crisp by using a Teflon bone folder. And a Teflon bone folder will not leave a shiny surface on your card. So now I have my card base ready to go. And I, like I mentioned before, am going to use a lot of the same products that I used in yesterday's card. And if you didn't check that out, I will go ahead and put a card in the upper right-hand corner for you to check out that video now. So I'm using this Miss Your Smile stamp set, and I absolutely love it. It was illustrated by my friend Emily Midget. It is gorgeous, and it fits really nicely on a full-size slimline card, but it also works beautifully on this mini slimline card size as well. So once I have it mounted onto my Misty stamping tool, I am going to die cut a piece of this pattern paper. This is from the Pinkfresh Studio Keepin' It Real collection. It is a 12 by 12 piece of pattern paper that I have kind of cut down. I used it to create an envelope for yesterday's card, and so this is kind of a leftover piece. I'm using one of the stitched rectangles from the Mini Slimline Essentials die bundle from Pinkfresh Studio to die cut this pattern paper. And this leaves me with a perfectly sized matte rectangle for the front of my mini slimline card that has this gorgeous diagonal stitched border on it. So I'm going to prep the surface of this pattern paper with my Embossing Buddy powder tool. I'm making sure I get a lot of powder down onto this piece of pattern paper. And I'm going to be doing a little bit of white heat embossing on this pattern paper. So once the paper is prepped with my powder tool, I'm going to ink up my stamp using some VersaMark ink, and I'm going to close the lid of my Misty onto that piece of pattern paper that I've positioned into that lower right-hand corner. And then I'm going to use my Stamper's Secret Debbie tool here to apply even pressure across the entire surface of the stamp. Now these products, if you saw yesterday's video, are going to look very familiar. And this is something that I will often do. I will use a lot of the same products to create a second card, but really make a spin-off of that card. And that's what I'm doing today. So the stamp is the same, the dies are the same, but instead of stamping this onto white cardstock, today I am stamping it onto pattern paper and in white heat embossing it to create a different look. And this looks really beautiful white heat embossed over this colorful pattern paper. Now, if you wanted to create a similar look, but you don't have this pattern paper on hand, you could use strips of cardstock and adhere those to a piece of copy paper and then die cut it using that Essential Slimline die that I used earlier. And that would give you a very similar look. Now I've made sure that I allowed my heat tool to heat up before taking it to this pattern paper. Because pattern paper is a little bit lighter in weight than cardstock, I want to make sure that I keep my heat tool moving, and I'm heating from a little bit of a distance so I don't warp it too much. And you can see that beautiful glossy raised image on this pattern paper. Now I have some leaves that I've die cut using the Curvy Leaves die set from Pinkfresh Studio, and I've die cut those from some vellum. And I am going to create a circle element for my sentiment to rest on. This sentiment was hot foiled using the Perfect Sentiments hot foil plate from Pinkfresh Studio. And I have a few of these in my stash that I foiled ahead of time, and I added some plain white die cuts behind them to add some dimension. And I'm just kind of arranging all of these elements onto my card front here and finding what I think I'm going to like. Now, once I get these leaves kind of into the position that I think will work, I am just going to remove the circle that's on top of them and that sentiment. And I'm going to use some liquid glue to adhere these leaf sprigs into place. Today I'm using the Honeybee liquid glue. I also like the Lawn Fawn liquid glue and the Barely Arts liquid glue. Those are all great choices. Sometimes I just grab whatever is closest to me. Now I created that plain circle earlier, and I thought it would be fun to add a little bit of detail to it. So both of these dies here are from the Pinkfresh Studio Mini Slimline Essential Die Bundle. And it creates a circle and also this kind of dotted element along the inside. So I used both of those dies and die cut them both at once to create this circle with this kind of dotted detail. And I'm going to adhere my foiled sentiment right on top of that circle and add a few more of these leaf sprigs to the top of that circle to add a little bit of dimension to this card and kind of bring a little life to it. Now, once I get everything where I wanted, I added a little bit of foam adhesive behind the sentiment so that I could hide it. Even with that vellum in place, that sentiment is large enough to kind of hide some foam adhesive behind it. And I attach that to my card front. And I'm going to attach my card front onto my card base using a layer of foam adhesive as well. Now, you could adhere this directly onto your card base to kind of cut down on the bulk of this card overall. But if you know me, I like big cards. I'm going to finish this card off with some clear crystals. I'm just adhering those on with a little bit of glossy accents. And then I'm going to move into creating a coordinating envelope. And I'm using some pattern paper from the Pinkfresh Studio Keeping It Real collection. It's the same collection that striped pattern paper is from. And I have all of my elements die cut from this beautiful blue pattern paper that has this great geometric print on it. I've added my adhesive to the side tabs of these flaps that are a part of the back of the envelope, and I'm attaching them onto the base piece of this envelope using just a little bit of really strong score tape. Now, I've also used liquid adhesive to assemble these mini slimline envelopes from Pinkfresh Studio, and that works great as well. Today I just grabbed the 1/8" score tape. And I added a little strip along one of those tabs so that I could close up my envelope. And finally, I'm going to remove the backer from this bottom flap, the adhesive that's on that bottom flap, and fold it up, and that completes my envelope. These envelopes come together really quickly, and I love the way that this geometric pattern paper kind of plays off that really feminine floral vibe that I have going on the card. And I actually took this card and then made another kind of spin-off card for Father's Day that I'm going to be featuring on the Pinkfresh Studio YouTube channel tomorrow. So be sure you keep your eyes peeled for that. So there you have it, a really beautiful, colorful mini slimline card that's a spin-off from the card that I created yesterday for the Pinkfresh Studio May Essentials Release blog hop. If you missed it, be sure to check it out. There is also information over on my blog about a giveaway that Pinkfresh Studio is doing in celebration of this new release, and I think you'll want to check that out. As always, I will have links to the featured products used in this project in the description at YouTube, so if you're looking for something in particular, be sure you check there. And if you liked this video, I would really appreciate it if you would give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications here on my YouTube channel, and leave me a comment below letting me know that you enjoyed this video. Thanks again for watching. I am so glad you're here. I'm so glad that you spend your time hanging out with me here on YouTube. And until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.